Hi, how are you? My name is Pete and today I'm going to show you the best maps and the best dinos for gathering metal in ARK Survival Evolved. So the purpose of this video is quite simple. We have 9 official maps in ARK Survival Evolved, and yes, you can gather metal on every single one of them. However, the maps that I'm going to show you are just better at it. They have better spots for gathering metal. So if you have access to all the other maps, like if you're playing on a cluster or you're playing in single player and you can just transfer your character back and forward, maybe consider making like an outpost, like a base that it's solely focused on gathering metal. And that's where this video will help you. Also stick to the end because I will have some tips that will help you more in gathering metal. So the best 2 dinos for gathering metal are the one you can see in the background here, the Anki and the Magmasaur. So the Anki you can get pretty much on any map, which is why it's probably the best option for gathering metal in ARK. Also, Anki has 85% of weight reduction for metal. So what you see here, it's all official default single player settings. And as you can see in my inventory, 100 metal weights 100. However, in Anki's inventory, 100 metal weights only 15. So that gives us 85% reduction of the weight. And as you can see on default settings, it gets around 100 metal per metal node. Now mind you, this is not top of the range metal node. It's kind of like a second level of metal nodes. The best ones are the ones that are completely golden. Now let's see the Magmasaur. The Magmasaur also has a weight reduction for metal. As you can see here, 100 metal weights 25, which gives us 75% of weight reduction. However, a Magmasaur can also smelt the metal. As you can see here, there's an option enable smelting, and the animation will start. And it will smelt metal at the same rate as Metal Forge. So per 2 metal you get 1 metal ingot. On top of it, once you have metal ingot, with the Magmasaur you can actually shoot fireballs. But you do need metal ingots in its inventory to be able to do that. So let's see how much metal Magmasaur can gather on default single player settings. Now there are 3 nodes here, so it got about 1500 metal, and it's already overweight because it also gathered all kinds of stone and wood. So the Magmasaur is definitely more efficient at gathering metal. However, the biggest downside of Magmasaur, it's a pretty hard tame, and it also only officially exists on the Genesis map. Now there's one more dino that I want to show you, which I will recommend using only if you're using any kind of stacking mode. So any kind of stacking mode that reduces the weight of metal in general, that dino will be useful. If you're playing on default settings without any weight reduction, it's probably not the best dino, just stick to the Anki or Magmasaur. However, if you do use the stacking mode, here's the dino that I would definitely recommend, and it's Mantis. So the good thing about Mantis is you can equip it with the metal pick. Now, as you can see here, I have 2 different rarity of metal picks. So the bigger the rarity, the more resources the Mantis will gather on top of it. And that's true to actually all the dinos. If you want them to gather more resources, you always want to pump melee damage. And the biggest advantage of Mantis comparing to the other dinos is that it's quick. So if you're gathering metal in a place where the nodes are far apart, the Mantis will get there very quickly. However, as I said before, it needs the stacking mode, because as you can see, I only gathered 2 metal nodes and I'm already overweight. But once you have the stacking mode that will reduce the weight of resources, Mantis is actually quite valid option. So let me show you what are the best maps in my opinion to gather metal, and where you could consider building an outpost just for metal gathering purposes. So the first location I want to show you is actually in Crystal Isles, and it's right here, pretty much in the middle of the map. And let me show you. These are all metal nodes, and as you can see, there is literally tons of them all along that river. Just below that waterfall here, there's a waterfall here in the background. All of them are metal nodes, and it's just crazy amount of metal here. You can also go a little bit to the left, and it's kind of hard to see here, but in between them trees, as you can see, there's even more metal nodes. So you will never run out of metal in this spot. Now the second spot that I want to show you is actually on Aberration. Now Aberration is an interesting map because it's considered the best map for gathering metal. So pretty much any place in the blue zone has tons of metal. However, there is one spot that it's particularly good, and I can show you here on the map. It's pretty much the middle of the map on the right hand side. And what's also good about this spot is actually quite close to one of the obelisks. So if you want to use it to travel between the maps, you're not going to have to go far. And let me show you here, all them blue shiny rocks that you see, they're all metal rocks. So as you can see here, there's literally tons and tons of metal. As I said before, the Aberration is pretty much the best map for gathering metal. As you can see again, there's just unbelievable amount of metal everywhere here. Now there's also a few tips I want to give you. If you're not playing on your own and you're playing with friends, there's 3 very helpful things that you can use for gathering metal, which is Quetzal, Karkinos, and Skiff. All of them can lift the Anki, and the other player, one player lifts the Anki with the Karkinos, for example, and the other player is just sitting on the Anki and constantly swiping that tail and gathering metal. So that's very efficient. When there's 2 of you, you can speed up the whole process a lot. Another thing is that I mentioned before, of course, if you have a stacking mode, that whole process will be quicker, but also if you have stacking mode, consider using the Mantis because it's really good. Also, if you have a Structure Plus mode enabled, I would definitely recommend to craft S Plus text storage, not dedicated storage, but text storage, and just put it on any Dino that has platform saddle. Like I have it here on my Quetzal, and the reason why I recommend it is because, as you can see, the metal weighs 100, but if I put it into text storage, it only weighs 10. So the text storage actually reduces the weight by 90%. Now I hope you find this video useful. If you did, please leave a like and consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.